Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Good morning and welcome to Enterprise Morning on Enterprise TV this beautiful Friday morning. It promises to be a beautiful day already. I am Adedolapo Fatila Ajayi, and with me in the studio this morning to analyze the newspaper headlines, I have Cyril Abaku, public affairs commentator. Good morning.
Good morning, Dolapo.
And I have Barrister Evans Ufeli with me to analyze together.
Good morning.
Good morning, Barrister. Okay, so let's go straight into the newspaper headlines, and I start with the Daily Trust. Appeal Court sacks Zamfara governor. Others were run in 3 local government areas. Kano, Bauchi governors know their fate today. Panic foodstuff buying in Kano River, fear of violence. And police who warn against wild jubilation in Bauchi. Yes, you can find that on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. I would like us to talk about what's going on in Zamfara at the moment. Okay, let me start with you, Barrister.
Yes, the Court of Appeal.
Yes.
Have just in
Abuja. Yes.
Because now the petitions, they are now in Abuja and Lagos, because the court had to shrink all cases to Abuja and Lagos. Now, the case under reference is one where PDP had won that election at the polls, okay, and a governor had been sworn in, the substantive governor. But, you know, the governor who lost Matawale went to the tribunals, okay, and also lost at the tribunal, and then appealed to the Court of Appeal. And just yesterday, the Court of Appeal, you know, declared the election inconclusive in 3 local governments, and have made the order that there must be a
rerun of election
of the election under reference. But you said the reason given is where I have issues with. The Court of Appeal said that INEC was wrong to have relied on the result that was transmitted through the area. That, for me, until I see the judgment and see the ratio behind that, and then benchmark it with the provisions of the Electoral Act, I don't think is a good judgment from my standpoint. If there were substantial non-compliance with the Electoral Act in those 3 local governments, and it's graphically so by evidence, fine and well, it is good to say, okay, because of the following in these areas, based on the law, there should be a wrong. But to say that INEC, why should INEC rely on the result
that came out
through the area, would be like I'm twisting the subsidiary legislation, because INEC is empowered by law to make subsidiary legislation, and then that subsidiary legislation, that is their regulation, where they said they will transmit results, okay, and it's because of electoral integrity. That is why that IRF was created, for the public to view beforehand. So if the court now says that that should not be the determining factor, the one that is of integrity, that is of public viewing or viewership, if the court now says it is not that one that should be relied on,
used, then
rather we should rely on those ones they do in discrete, and then those ones they do manually and all that. It begs the question that why do we have to bring this innovation? Because INEC, before the election, went all over the world, went to Chatham House to tell the international public that they are going to transmit, and transmission will be they got to the presidential election, they said there was technical glitch. Now, having told the world and the international community they are going to transmit, they are now using the judiciary, the court, to counter
What has been done?
What have been said at the International Committee, Chatham House, and to the public, it does not paint a very clean picture.
Cyril?
Well, the challenge, like I've said at various fora, you go to court, especially on electoral issues, you don't know what the courts are going to say. You just unsure. Even when INEC claimed that there was a glitch which made them not able to transmit the results electronically, they didn't provide evidence for the glitch. There was no what caused the glitch, because they brought people from Amazon and so on, and they said there was no basis for the glitch. In fact, you recall that after the election, it was like Mohammed who went to Washington and that place to say that nothing was really wrong with the server, but that the government chose to shut it down to avoid. So, what exactly is now? INEC made a law that they're empowered to make, that they're going to use IREV and so on. That by that same empowerment, they made laws to say, first of all, they will do accreditation, verification, then voting. Does that not mean that all the laws INEC is making for
all of
itself?
these were in place,
So
and
if IREV
still nullifying and cancelling elections,
it means anything INEC says or wants to do can be set aside. This is the unique place we find ourselves, and the question is, who will now help us to bear this card? Because something very terrible is about to happen. Imagine that only yesterday, I think one of your writers was saying that Bauchi and Kano will know their fate today, right? Only yesterday, a group was threatening the president. Was threatening and saying that the president must make sure not to happen.
police is even winning against wild jubilation in
Do you know that the
Bauchi?
The first election petition judgment that was delivered in Kano was done so virtually? They could not sit physically because I'm sure they understood the implication of
what
a physical
they might be
sitting, so
doing.
they had to do it virtually. Now, my contention is, how is it that a political process that was usually adjudicated upon judicially is now the judicial process also appears to be heading for political solutions, political judgments? Otherwise, why will a group be saying, Mr. President, don't interfere? Make sure not to influence the outcome of the army, and has the president been calling judges to tell them how to rule in cases? I can't understand it. But it just goes to tell you how much pressure has come upon the judiciary, and how people believe that with the right political influence you can get any kind of judgment you want.
The politicians have almost destroyed this country.
They have.
Now, because you see, what they have done in every sector of the economy, they have suppressed every sector. The executive in particular have suppressed the legislature. In the state legislature have been conquered a long time ago. They've been conquered a long time ago. The last time we heard about impeachment proceedings, proper one, was the beginning of Fourth Republic, when in 1999, 2000 and the rest. This one we're doing today is the one that the governor will ask them, okay, you guys will gather and impeach my deputy, my deputy governor. That's what they're having today. This kind of that type. When you say political judgment, I was taken aback. I wanted to ask what you mean by political judgment. But I think what you mean is it possible that it is the politician that now influence the outcome of court cases, especially when it borders on election? It is not, I cannot say that they can't influence, because sometimes the crop of judges we have, some of them undermine the ethics of the profession. And then they allow the politician to overrun them.
Their way.
And then they create problems. But if the judiciary can be independent, the judiciary must have a mind of its own. My fear is that the judiciary should not turn to INEC. Because in Nigeria, INEC have no mind of its own.
They can be easily tossed to and fro.
And those are the two institutions in Nigeria that, before they are mentioned, you hear independence. Independence of, if INEC concept, carry independence.
Qualified.
Qualified with independence. Then they say independence of the judiciary. But you see, the independence of these two institutions have been called to question
Several times.
Time and again.
Yes. And that question is the reason we're having this kind of outcome. And this is not the best of outcome, because at the end of the day, it does not look like we're practicing democracy. We have gotten to a stage where we're practicing what they call influentocracy. Political influentocracy. Yes, because influence is what matters now. And because we have also installed materialism, we are taking materialism above board.
Every other thing.
So people now
Can
have to
easily
take
be influenced.
gratification and then come out
And then
to
you begin
own
to
it.
misbehave.
You recall when the late Judge Kayode Esho came one time and said that he was amazed that we now had billionaire judges. Even billionaire lawyers is sometimes understandable if you're a commercial lawyer. But when you talk of billionaire judges,
because money is coming now.
How did they judge and up to the range of billions? You see, teachers, judges, there are certain functions of society of government that
will believe that
are simply just done for the passion and for the fact that society has to move on from one point to another. But that you now have billionaire judges, where did the money come from?
No, it's when you are in a jurisdiction where you are recruiting the right way. When you are recruiting those who have the passion for the job, that's when you can sustain the sanctity of that profession.
Right.
But if the way you recruit them, they come through nepotism, they come through influence, somebody recommended and all that, you cannot track because you have passion is now taken to the back door. What you now have is survivor. And anywhere survivor is the determining factor.
Anything can happen.
Yes, it is reduced now to might and survivor.
And now you find that in the case of Zamfara, as in many other states, they are going to head for a rerun. And what baffles me the most is that right now, I'm not sure if we are certain that INEC should be using IREV or not.
Because we're now not trusting whatever it is.
We are now not sure because the courts have said they are not bound to use.
No, but on this particular Zamfara, the Supreme Court has said that the Electoral Act did not make it compulsory, okay? But in this particular one, this Court of Appeal in Zamfara seems to be cementing the fact that why you should not rely on it. That's what it's saying.
Exactly, and
that is dangerous because what this will lead now. I'm happy that it is the Court of Appeal. When it gets to Supreme Court, the Supreme Court might turn it upside down. You understand? I say may turn it upside down. So until we get there.
Let's continue with the stories on Daily Trust newspaper. 613 families of deceased police officers get 2.2 billion naira. Bayelsa Imokogi polls, vote buying, intimidation, disturbing. That's coming from the Peace Committee. And then I take the last one I'll be taking on Daily Trust is bandits kill mother, newborn others in Sokoto. Okay, we move on now to the Guardian newspaper where the main headline there is saying how such alcoholic drinks breed alcoholism toward national development. That's the big story on pages 4 and 5 of the Guardian newspapers. And then I go on to service shutdown imminent as USSD debt hit 200 billion naira. 2 commissioners abstain as Ondo EXCO passes vote of confidence on Akeredolu. And then insecurity, Buhari handed tough period to Tinubu. That's what Ribadu is saying. We want to say something about that. Buhari handed tough period to Tinubu. Ribadu laments.
Yeah, he said that. He even went further to say that the President Buhari ran the country dry before
leaving.
Yes, before handing over. But you see, my problem with this kind of statement is that he didn't muster the confidence to say this in while Buhari was in office. And now because he has been appointed, who don't know that before Buhari left office, it was like everything was about loan. He wanted to take loan he wanted to shut the country down with debt and all that. It happened. We saw it. So it's not that.
So him coming out now to say it is.
It's not new.
It's a bit late.
He should have said it then.
It's late in the day, and I hope that we're not setting the stage up for what is going to come, because this was what Buhari also did. When they came and said they met an empty treasury, it was a lie.
So every president will be meeting.
It was a lie. They gave bailout to states. They gave $50 million. They were giving money everywhere, and they said they met an empty treasury. That line went on even into the second term to cover their own incompetence and lack of performance. Now, you must be careful not to take that same path.
Yeah.
Buhari is not the reason why the naira is scarce. Why banks are announcing that they can only dispense 20,000 naira to people who want to withdraw over the counter. But Buhari is not the reason why today ATMs are dry. Buhari is not the reason why people in the north are not accepting cash transfers. They
would rather collect their cash.
So what we need to do is, where are we now? And leadership for me is a verb, actually. Yes, leadership is about action, knowing what to do. You've come to a crisis point. Franklin Roosevelt did it. Mr. Churchill did it. You come to even the man in Singapore. Yeah, so that's why
the fact that you met something bad doesn't
that's
mean
why you're there. You are now there to.
You can't turn it around.
Yes,
that's why I said that statement is eye service.
Seriously,
yeah, it's eye service. It's just to say that it's working
you're
or something
looking
like that.
for an exit route out of your
to give your president soft landing, so that excuse will be made available.
Eventually,
enough of it and all that.
Aren't we used to those already?
Look, the subsidy crisis now that we're in, fuel there are fuel queues. You can't blame Buhari for that. You are president. You are the one who came as a subsidy is gone.
It's gone without plan, thoughtlessly.
And that declaration was made even before the deadline of the subsidy going.
Yes.
And from that day,
we started it. Yes.
Buhari didn't float the naira. You floated the naira.
No, we had 1 month. Oh.
Exactly. Now that's
we had 1 month to go.
And
when
came,
abruptly, you took it off.
Buhari is not the one who has not given us account of what you've done with monies you gave from subsidy.
Why didn't they use that 1 month to moderate the outcome? Yeah, because you see, he did it impulsively, and you cannot lead 200 million people impulsively.
Just like
it's
that.
not possible. If you do that in your household, fine. But when 200 million people are involved, you don't come and just say this is gone without plan. It was after they removed, they now started thinking, what are we going to now do? Okay, 12 million families, 80,000. Okay, no, it won't work. Okay, governors, come, Biane. They now, okay, let's give the governors the money. They took the money and gave the governors. In my village, as I speak to you, my village, 8 bags of rice came to my own village. Each bag have 240 cups. Now, each family got three cups and half each. Okay, and you still have a large number of people who didn't get anything. You understand? So the palliative now is 3 cups of rice per family.
That will take them for at least.
In one estate here in Lagos, the estate got
about a year
3/4 bag, the entire estate, which they gave to the chairman. And it took in Ogun State too. It happened.
He will eat it on behalf of the people, right?
No, he took it and announced to the public that they should come and take back. So now we're going to level where you now count seed of rice as palliative. So it's thoughtless.
That's what happens when the government takes a decision without having
thinking,
to plan.
without thought. You know?
And then even when they are making those steps, they didn't even say, okay, we've already done the damage. Let's consult. Let's ask.
And see how we can.
They just came and rolled out the 5 billion that they now give to states. First they said it was grant. Later they said it was both grant and loan. The state that contribute Niger Republic, they said because of the crisis of the coup and so on, that they were going to get more money.
Yes.
Nobody knows how much they were given.
Yes.
So how do you run a country this way? How do you run run things this way? I would rather expect that the president sat back with his team. His advisors on economic issues and all the other areas, sit back and come up with a proper blueprint. It's not enough to just say, I've appointed this person to that place and so on. Lagos is not the same thing as Nigeria. Nigeria is a bit more complex and more diverse. So you need to have more, consultations and be able to govern better. Okay,
we move on to the Punch newspaper, where the major headline there is saying, be patient, inherited crisis won't disappear overnight. Ribado is saying that. NSA appeals to Nigerians, says Tinubu inherited poor economy and security, exposed deficit inherited from Buhari, be transparent. Obi challenges the federal government. Now,
let me jump in on this. So, because Mr. Ribado spoke, I think 2 days ago. Now, I was wondering why the story was appearing on the front page of the Guardian, to be honest. Because we are taking it yesterday, if you recall. Now, not only is it on front page of Guardian, it is the banner headline of Punch, which means somebody somewhere is arguably interested in pushing this narrative as far afield as possible. It means we need to now deal with it. This matter must be punctured for the night that it is. Why spend all this energy trying to push the excuse to legitimize failure when you can spend as much or less energy in getting things right?
Seek solution.
What are the issues? What are the issues involved? We are not the ones who appointed the cabinet of former governors who are looking for where to retire, including those who have gone to the center. You brought them to becoming ministers. And what is the expectation from them? It's not Nigerians who went to the UAE, Dubai, and announced that the UAE Dubai corridor has open. When it has not open and nobody was fired for telling us
for falsehood.
Okay, it is not Nigerians who traveled to Saudi Arabia. The Saudi said that they had cancelled all their visas. The federal government said that they were cancelled for past offences.
The information they provided was not for the right kind of visa that they got.
No, what the federal government said was that those Nigerians the visas were revoked because.
But that's different from what Saudi.
The Saudis came a day later to something entirely different.
Yes, the Saudis said that some of the specific visa information they provided were for the wrong visa that were issued.
Now the question is, who is telling a lie here?
That's it. You see, that is a recurrent decimal. It appears this government is going to be giving us different narratives.
Great.
One to appease our psychology,
exactly,
and the other, which is the truth. So the public must, as a matter of fact, that is why from the outset they say you need to have people of integrity to lead the country. Okay.
Honestly speaking.
Yes, from the outset.
I can't agree more.
From the outset. So what we have now is, you ask yourself, what is a information control channel? What does it look like in the presidency as we speak? Because I know that recently they injected some hands, young people. Okay, maybe it's to cure this defect. But post that appointment, we're still seeing black. They tell us black. The other side will not say, why are you feeding the people? They will not come and tell us white.
Yes.
Okay, even post the appointment made, some young persons were appointed, one from channels, one from the public, one from a youth and all that. So how do we have this information? How are they managing the information from the presidency? That's a question.
But Obi is challenging the federal government that it should declare exactly what they meant.
No, they will not. Now, see the thing. If it were an internal domestic policy issue, it's even different. That the foreign government will be putting a lie to what the government of a country is telling its citizens. That's the worst kind of shame you can ever face internationally. And people are seeing these things. They know that they can ride Russia the virus. After the question will even be, do they even have a government in that country? How does a government lie through its teeth so blatantly, so flagrantly, without even the least compunction to say the people we are talking to are sensible? Okay, long and short of the matter is that the issues New everybody is now raising, to be honest, even if President Buhari left Nigeria in a deficit, in a moral deficit, whatever it was, they have now come to compound those issues. They added more to it.
Yes, they are not,
and cannot shift the entire blame.
They are not correcting it.
Yeah.
They have not started doing anything.
And cannot shift that blame. Look at, we were buying fuel for 200 and something naira per liter, right? Then Tinubu comes into office. We begin to buy fuel for 800, 1,000, 600, 700. Then because they said they are taking subsidy away. Now I can argue till tomorrow, subsidy is back. Subsidy is back, and the price of fuel has not come down.
It has not come down.
So who is taking the money? The president himself has said several times that people were just taking the money. If people took the money and didn't do anything about subsidies, is he paying those money back to those same people? So this is the question. There are many questions to answer.
I think the government came to compound the problem.
Honestly, as I'm talking to you now,
they should stop talking about the problems and start fixing and start providing.
The medium to long term.
That is what we want to see.
The MTEF.
Yes, MTEF.
The medium term economic framework. As I'm talking to you now, the Senate committee is saying that if they don't borrow, they can't fund the budget. If they don't,
they cannot now. And see, let me tell you, the budget we are referring to, the supplementary budget too. They are going to borrow to fund it.
But they are racing to spend 2.1 trillion in less than 2 months.
2 months.
To finish spending it.
And they will need to also borrow
to now begin the new cycle.
Now, the substantive budget itself, what's the performance level? We don't know the performance level, the substantive budget. And We know that the National Assembly, they are on first line charge. They want, even the executive. It was the executive bill in the first place that becomes an appropriation act. Okay, this current one now been signed into law 7 days ago to fund illegalities, to fund the president, wife of the president's fleet, and all those things. Nobody's talking about that palliative again. They have captured NLC by taking the 5,000 naira they're going to give them for the next 6 months and put it in that supplementary. So NLC cannot even go on strike to counter why the president should have 5 billion there, why the president why should have. It's like it's a trap. You lock them into the same benefit. Now, next month they will start to talk about the 2024 budget. Okay? Now, the 2024 budget, of course, they are going to expend this one because it's not a law. You can no longer go to court or go to anywhere to stop a law. You cannot go to court to stop a law. You can't use the law to stop
the law.
So that one will pass. So this government have no direction. The government is visionless, directionless. It's not going anywhere. We're not heading anywhere.
Whether we like it or not, it's going gradually. Before you know it, now we'll be counting years.
That this government has succeeded in pushing is propaganda. Because they are very good at it. When Mr. Adelelake was still the president's spokesman for special duties and strategy also, we had to go to the first conference the president was attending in France. They said that a lot of international investors were flocking to the president from Switzerland, from this place and that place, and we were so happy about it. To this day, not a single one of them. The other time, during G20 summit in India, they said Indian investors were coming to the president under their pledge $14 billion or so to come and invest in Nigeria.
Yes.
First of all, Indian investors may not even be the cherished pride of, I mean, look at in our own country, what they've done with the place that they put businesses in, how they treat our workers. So we must look inwards and ask ourselves, what could be the best thing we should do to make our economy, to put it back on its feet, and not to wait for what some people want to come and do for us. And then, like Basvelia said, we must have a clear policy of what we want to do.
We'll take a short break now. We'll be right back. Stay with us. You're welcome back. We're moving on to Vanguard newspaper, where the major headline is saying, why kidnapping has replaced armed robbery? NSA, Senate summons NSA service chiefs over insecurity. Reps film 10 back service chiefs. IGP representatives over debate on security challenges. Bandits abduct Kaduna district head as soldiers ambush armed supplier. Gunmen kill abducted priest after collecting 1 million naira ransom in Kogi. NMA threatens strike over kidnap of 10 doctors in Enugu. I'd want us to talk about this rate of kidnapping as against armed robbery. What would you want to say?
Yeah, kidnapping seems to be paying more. Because if you look at the amount of money they collect as ransom, and because people don't want to lose their loved ones. Even if you go to the police station, the police will tell you that the last time they kidnapped their DPO, they paid. The police paid. Yeah. They will ask you to go and pay. Yeah. So it tells you.
Or even help you facilitate the payment.
So security has broken down irretrievably in Nigeria. So this Senate call summoning the NSA is important, except that each time they summon them, nothing comes out of it. Kidnapping will continue. Okay, I mean, this is the summon is going to be an academic exercise where they will gather and begin to talk about the woes, our problems, and all that. But at the end of the day, we don't get solution to this issue. What is the solution? There is high rate of unemployment in the country. Okay, it has gone to a level where no one is safe actually. There's a case of where some kidnappers were trying to abduct another set of kidnappers. They got to that crossroad where they now organize this business we self they do. So at the end of the day, they parted ways to go and look for the real victims. So where we have a problem in our hands and the Senate have no solution to the problem, they are supposed to not just summoning these people. NSA is reactionary. They should come up with a law, a policy on employment. Declare a state of emergency in that sector. Let's have Nigerians employed. Let's also, get solution to the problem by making sure that the citizens are empowered. When the citizens are not empowered, you have insecurity. It's a very simple logic.
Cyril?
Well, so to be a bit more, to speak in more lay terms, as it were, is the fact that when armed robbers, in those days it was the phrase, your life or your money. Today the banks have cut off people having to carry large sums of money on them because a lot of things can happen via transfer and so on. So that the process of getting money, physical cash, is a bit remote now. Yes, because of technology, I think. And then if you, where do you want to rob? A lot of estates, a lot of houses are now very conscious of armed robbers. So estate people will hire security. People are not relying on the police. You see in some compounds that CCTV cameras, so there's a lot of awareness. So it means that, so there's a shift in focus from traditional armed robbery as we used to know it to kidnapping. So I think it's won by another means, as it were. Now they can kidnap somebody, and take the person anywhere. They may say that they demand for ransom. You see what they normally say. In Ogun, one time they said they wanted palm oil. Is it cocoyam, salt?
These kidnappers.
And the condiments.
And Maggi and cooking cubes and all that.
As ransom.
Yes,
value for ransom.
Yes, it looked like it looked like a bridal
list sort of.
Ransom.
You know what I mean? So, and it wasn't only in Ogun. There was another city that had a similar set of demands were also made. So these people are human beings and they are looking for survival. I think that one way to deal with it may be to say it's a crimeless fight, but another way to deal with it is, are we creating enough jobs? Are we creating enough? Are we creating the enabling environment enough for people to be able to use their skills? There's a story I had one time about a Nigerian big man that encountered some armed robbers on the road and said, "Why are you doing this? You guys look educated and polished. Come and see me later." And in the typical Nigerian sense, those people became made later to the meeting with that guy, albeit such a circumstance. You heard when a former commissioner of police was saying that that as a lawmaker in Abuja, people he had arrested and arraigned for armed robbery. We are sitting with him on the floor for see reps or many of them are on the reps or senate with him there. So it is not always that they are ragtag riffraffs. No, they are not.
They are not now. When Ozekome was kidnapped,
exactly.
One was a medical doctor that set drip on him.
You can imagine that.
They don't want him to die because they need to collect ransom.
They
set drip on him and gave him medication in that bush.
So this is about a nation sacrificing its best people by other means again. So what can we now do? We must treat this kind of what it is. You see, those of us who are outside of the system can even go this far. People like the DSS and people who have intelligence on what's really going on understand this maybe better than we even do. So sit down and say, how do we stop this? I believe that we can reasonably stop crime to an extent.
Very well.
If we are ready
to. But it won't stop when a nation's NSA is talking about what a past government did.
Is giving an excuse for the current government.
I wish it even came from the information minister. Come from the NSA.
It cannot even come from the information minister.
Do you know how much we spent on insecurity? Fighting Boko Haram to the point that we even built a university of a military, so-called military university.
Yes.
We've not overcome Boko Haram. But we started building a military university. We've invested billions and billions of dollars with nothing to show for it. Borno is no safer today. Zamfara is no safer today. Is it Yobe? Is no safer today. All the states, Kaduna is no safer today. They tell us that they see, that they hear, that they listening on their phone calls, but they will not go in and attack them.
Yes.
So where does that even
they still use the normal telecommunication to take a ransom,
and yet nobody can use to trace them to
arrest them. So the security apparatus of this country is complicit.
They attacked the Defense Academy and got away with it.
Yes, because the Defense Academy was open every Friday. every Friday they open the place for prayers.
But it now sounds
anybody can walk in.
It now sounds to me like this is more like surrendering the country to the enemy than the enemy coming to overwhelm the country. So we need to begin from that. Are some people just feeling like this country can be surrendered to the enemy and just cut it loose and say?
And if you want to quantify the incalculable damage this has done to this country, do you know the Chinese loan the federal government took to fund the rail between Abuja to Kaduna was from a loan? What's in there mentioned then when we're talking about surrendering our sovereignty to the Chinese. Now that loan we only paid, I think what was paid was less than, the interest rate was less than a year and that was paid. Since then we've not had them because the insurgents came and intercepted the train. Okay, did the damage there. And since then, even before the insurgents came, they were using helicopter to escort the trains before they attacked. Now, after the attack, since then, that railway cannot generate even half of the interest rate of the loan that we took. Because that railway is supposed to generate
money for itself now.
For the repayment plan the rail will generate the money. But now it's not generating that.
Which means already it's bad business. I'll give you two things. One is the fact that ideally one would have thought of tailoring the loans and the rail intervention to service more of cargo. You make money from that. We didn't think about it. Then number two, as I mentioned later, cried that I don't know. How do you have such a massive billion-dollar investment, revamping rails and all of that, and yet we didn't deem it fit to take care of the security component by putting cameras on the tracks or anywhere to be able to as a warning system?
Yes.
And what did Amechi say? Said that when he brought up the idea, somebody said no.
It was thrown out at the fake meeting.
Now that goes to tell you the level of thought that goes into this country. What the people that superintend over affairs, how do they even think? How do they reason?
They even have a
are they
from the president down? The president didn't understand. Buhari then didn't even understand what it is to use technology to secure critical infrastructure.
Yes.
He may be a general, I know, but I think he's a analog general. Because if you are, he's the one that superintended over the fake meeting. So why should you allow suggestion
to go away just
to
like
pass? On you know. So you should know that. You see, April. I was in the UK. April. Now where we went from central London to Middlesbrough, a very far distance. On our way, we saw antelope that was hit by a car, almost dead. You understand? So I was talking to some people that in some places you can pick this antelope, is for consumption, and they said no, that you can't. That if you step down from this train, what you should do is to provide solution to make sure that this antelope comes back to life. If you take it for consumption, you are picked by cameras. There are cameras in the whole stretch from central London to Middlesbrough is about 9 hours.
Sorry, please, and they'll tell you that it's not possible.
They'll say it's not possible.
It's too long.
But you have these cameras all through down. Everything that happened, I'm sure that the person who hits that
will
not
be caught eventually.
Yes, he will still be.
And by the Stofeli, here we fixed the trains and said that we are going to reduce the speed because of cows that normally pass on the road. And said that no train must travel beyond a particular speed limit.
Yeah, because of the
because of cows.
So I don't think we are ready for this 21st century or this modernity.
So when we are talking about liability, let us talk about things that can be done quickly. And I'll wrap with this very quickly. Former Vice President Oshibajo became acting president only for a few months at a time. You saw how we did it, began to perform on the ease of doing business index. Yes, that the plus there. If you know what you came to do, you will get it done
and do it on time even.
And do it on time. It was just a matter of months. We went up on ease of doing business. Then ask yourself what then happened when the president
after 90 days.
Because the fact is that even globally, our rating began to go up. Then when President Buhari came back, it became one of the pointers they began to name as part of the achievements in his speeches and everything.
Yes.
But as the months went by, he began to
as a substantive president.
Yes,
he could not
do it.
Get it done.
But then over the months, we began to now go back
add
again.
it up as a part of the.
His achievement. But as soon as he came back, we began to go down again.
That's what happened when you have a professor as a deputy of a school living certificate holder as a. In Nigeria, is in big trouble. What's telling you?
Okay, we move on now, but I want us to go back to the Guardian newspaper. Let's quickly talk about the big story on pages 4 and 5, how sachet alcoholic drinks breed alcoholism toward national development. I think that is...
It's simple. Sachet alcoholic drinks are handy. Okay, in those days, alcohol is produced in big bottles, heavy big bottles, and they are not cheap. But today it has been, reduced to shots, to sachets. So in Lagos, sometimes as early as 5 a.m., you see those women who sell these things. People gather there and there. Before 8 o'clock, you don't see that business again until evening. So it's a huge business early in the morning. So people charge up themselves, especially the commercial bus drivers, charge up themselves early in the morning. And it's a huge, because the companies producing this sachet alcohol, they are not complaining because they are making a lot of sales. It's where you have a large chunk of the citizens who are living on the verge of survival. Alcohol is a comfort place, technically speaking.
Yeah.
So it helps them to momentarily take off the hardship that they face on daily basis. Sensationally, then before they.
And this is now beginning to thwart national development.
Yes, there's a high rate in liver failure, kidney failure, and all that. It's attributed partly to alcoholism.
So that so-called charging, as he called it, for example, charging or what's the word, motivation or whatever that alcohol
Getting
gives.
high.
Yes, getting high. That thing that alcohol gives. Scientifically, it is proven that it is false.
Okay.
That the long-term consequences are far outweigh the momentary whatever it gives, and that we can function without it. For example, in armed forces, they say when you're on duty, you don't drink. Why? Because it could impair your judgment. Now, so what I knew growing up was that you don't sachetize alcohol to avoid this. You just turn and you can pick it. You can pick it. The consequence, alcohol is a powerful thing.
At a reduced price.
Yeah. What happened was that under Buhari's government, when the economy became extremely contracted, it was not just alcohol. A lot of products became sachetized. It was a sign of an economy that was failing because people couldn't now buy things that they normally could have been buying. Yes.
So they fall back to small substances.
Yes. Toothpaste, tomato paste, all kinds of things were now being sold in very, very.
No, but that thing predates the Buhari government.
No, but what I mean is the way we now see it in the widespread format. It wasn't this bad. Now what we now find is that everybody. So what can be done? The reality is that beyond those sicknesses that they are talking about, liver failure, they can't treat it. Those bus drivers cannot afford the treatment that comes so you are buying big sickness very cheaply. And that's also okay. They're buying big sickness very cheaply and they can't treat it. And then so people who normally should have been thinking and adding value to society are now having to drink and forget about their sorrows. Those are two very different. Yes, and because how do you grow a nation? It's not national resources. It's in manpower. It's in human resources. It's in personnel who are able to sit down and think and contribute, add value to the economy. So this is like taking back what should be given to society through the back door. What can government do? I'm not even sure government is running any campaign, running any program. There's no regulation, nothing.
Except for maybe some CSOs.
That are just, advocacy.
But their contribution is very
minimal. What we must do is to make sure that in the mornings nobody can sell alcohol in the daytime. If you must buy, you must be able to go and access it.
You will start to encroach human rights if you.
No, what I mean is,
you will encroach.
You can buy.
If such
you can
laws are made,
but not in the way that it is sold in the marketplace and all
just pick it anywhere.
No, I don't think you should be able to.
There should be a policy to moderate.
Yes.
To moderate that.
Exactly.
Because most of the persons who are actually the actors don't know much about their
They
rights under the law to that effect.
Yes.
So we can take advantage of their ignorance to step in policies that may not actually be in consonance with the Constitution, but that can moderate the level
You're
of
on a bus.
intake.
Your driver is after 10 minutes of the journey. He's probably ensconced.
It's yawning.
He's to take it. He will take one sachet
And drink to feel all right.
If you want to drink, go to
And
the
this
pub.
is somebody that is conveying. This is somebody that is conveying a lot of people, educated, uneducated.
Yes.
People who are going to work to contribute to the
To the
economy.
economy.
So by the time he takes that bus now into the lagoon, you will have economic loss, human resources loss, and the rest of it.
And then the accident rates.
Accident rate.
Don't sell alcohol in motor parks. Don't do it.
Yes.
Don't
That's
do
what's
it.
going on here. It's in motor parks, you see that in the morning.
Depots on depots of them.
Yes, all over the place.
has our own.
Everywhere, including Victoria Island.
Eh.
Because every big city have their own what they call it now, the lowest cadre have their own community. Even in Banana Island,
They are there.
you need to have a cleaner and a driver.
Of course.
And a cook.
Of course.
A house help.
And they're not PhD
Now,
holders.
all those people, they form a community.
Yes,
in the
they
place.
do.
Now, they have their own consumption.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying it's only the lower cadre that take it.
Yeah.
Okay, but they have their own community. And that community is sustained anywhere. So, this thing is across.
Yeah.
They sell it everywhere, including the big cities.
Yeah.
That'll be all on newspaper review this morning. Make sure you play your own part in contributing to the development of this great nation. I want to thank Barrister for being with us this morning. Thank you, Cyril. Okay, so stay with us and have a great day.
TV, your one-stop shop for news, programs, human angle stories, the economy, sports, and much more. We go the extra mile to bring incredible details to you. So hop on the train now. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.